Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Badgers Borough. In today's video, we're going to be going over my predictions on the 2020 NFL Awards. I'm going to be covering MVP, Defensive and Offensive Players and Rookies of the Year, as well as Comeback Player of the Year and Coach of the Year. As always, consider subscribing. It's free and it helps me out a lot. Also, leave a like and a comment on the video and tell me what topics you want to see me cover next. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so for this video, we're going to do things a little bit differently than standard prediction videos. I'm actually going to be talking about who I think should win it. If I had a vote, who would I vote for? But I'm also going to admit who I think is going to win. Sometimes that may be the same, sometimes that may be different, but you guys are going to have to wait and find out. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top. And that's going to start with Coach of the Year. You have a lot of candidates for this award. You have guys like Mike Tomlin, who got his team out to an 11-0 start. We're not going to talk about the collapse. That was in yesterday's weekly recap. But, you got a bunch of guys, Matt LaFleur, Mike Vrabel, even John Harbaugh a little bit. Brian Flores did an incredible job for the Dolphins. Sean McVay. There's so many coaches that do a good job. But this year, I think it has to go to Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. McDermott was so good this year, and it was the way he developed his players. Josh Allen's progression in just 3 years in the league in terms of accuracy has been astounding. He's made so many jumps in terms of accuracy that's very hard to replicate for any quarterback. Not to mention, you go out and you bring in Stephon Diggs in the offseason, who solidified himself as a top 5 receiver in the National Football League. I think Sean McDermott definitely should win this award. Who do I think's going to win it? I'm not really following the Coach of the Year drama too much, but I'd say it probably goes to Sean McDermott. I think the Bills went 13-3, 12-4 or 13-3. That's exceptional for a team who's been in the Patriots' shadow for the last 20 years. I mean, this team broke out in a big way this year, mostly due to Josh Allen, Diggs, and the defense. I think your Coach of the Year is Sean McDermott. Moving on to Comeback Player of the Year. This is absolutely a one-man race. Nobody is going to beat Alex Smith for this award. This is who I think and who will win the award. 2 years ago, November 18th, 2018, Alex Smith suffered compound fractures in his tibia, fibula, and a bunch of other, fractures in his leg. Countless surgeries later, there was an infection. They were concerned that Alex Smith may lose his leg and possibly his life. There's an ESPN documentary on it, and I really recommend you watch it. It goes through his whole, diagnosis, treatment, and recovery process. It's pretty incredible to watch. But going on to this season, Kyle Allen was the football team starter. Dwayne Haskins was the football team starter in week 1, and then Kyle Allen. And then Kyle Allen got hurt, and Alex Smith was thrust into the role of quarterback. And he played so very well. You might not think it based on his stats, just under 1,700 yards, 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's not good. But Alex Smith went 5-1 as a starter with the Washington football team. He went 5-1 as a starter with that team and that offense. Alex Smith was great. He was not Mahomes great. He was not Brady, Allen, and definitely not Rodgers. But Alex Smith was exactly what the football team needed this year. He was a game manager, he was a veteran, and most importantly, he was a leader to a team without a nickname and helped them make a playoff push. Obviously he didn't play in the playoff game. He's been hurt. He's been battling leg injuries all year. Obviously not as severe as the one he suffered 2 years ago. But this is a runaway award. Alex Smith is going to be receiving the Comeback Player of the Year award, and I couldn't see it any other way. This is possibly the greatest comeback story in the history of sports and maybe even the history of the United States. This is such a great story, and I'm so blessed that I was able to watch it live week after week, watching football team and Alex Smith somehow scrap out wins What a story. I'm so glad that he's going to win this award. Moving swiftly onwards, we're going to talk about the Defensive Rookie of the Year. You know, for me, there's three candidates who deserve this award. That's Chase Young of Football Team, Patrick Queen of the Ravens, and Jeremy Chinn of the Panthers. Obviously, you have guys like Julian Blackmon and Cameron Curl, who also played incredibly, but I think these three guys are going to get the majority of the votes when it actually comes to the honors. We're going to talk about their stats a little bit, but for me, that's not going to be the most important thing. Chase Young had 7.5 sacks, 13 TFLs, that's tackles for loss, and 23 QB pressures. That's pretty good from a rookie, especially when you're seeing double teams a lot and working across from Montez Sweat, another very good young pass rusher. Chase Young was very good. He was a leader for the Washington defense, and he played it. He showed it with his play on the field. The stats were good, especially for a rookie. Young was a beast. He also had a couple huge fumble recoveries, most namely the one in Week 17, to really help Washington clinch a playoff berth. He was really good. Patrick Queen, he had 106 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 2 fumble recoveries, including one that he returned for a touchdown. Patrick Queen was a dominant force on the Ravens defense. You could always count on him to traverse the field, make a tackle where he needed to. He's very quick. And that's something that's very valuable in a coverage linebacker like Queen. But he showed that he was also able to do it on the pass rush. I mentioned the 9 tackles for loss. He had a couple sacks in there. Patrick Queen was a beast. And I think that he's obviously overshadowed by these guys that were picked ahead of him. But Queen was exceptional this year. Speaking of guys that were picked ahead of him, there were a lot for this next guy. Jeremy Chinn, he was a second-round pick, but he played like he should have been top 10. 117 tackles, and then he had 2 exceptional plays back-to-back against the Minnesota Vikings. He forced the fumble, he recovered that fumble, and then he returned it for a touchdown. That's really good stuff. In fact, it's never been done before. Force fumble, recover, take it for a touchdown on back-to-back plays. Jeremy Chinn was elite for the Panthers, and he was one of their sole bright spots of the year. The Panthers were terrible. There's really no way around it. But Jeremy Chinn was very, very sound. He made a lot of tackles, playing kind of a hybrid safety role that a lot of people thought Isaiah Simmons would play. Chinn was what we thought Simmons would be this year. He was in the box making tackles. He was playing sound coverage. And like I mentioned, the 2 big plays against the Vikings. Out of those 3 candidates, I'm going to have to give the nod to Chase Young. I think that he was the best out of the bunch. Obviously, he had the most expectations. Many people consider him the best prospect we've seen in a very long time, probably since Jadeveon Clowney, especially as an edge rusher, but I think Young proved it. He played way above his years. Other coaches were singing his praise week after week. He was seeing double teams throughout the year. Chase Young, I think, deserves this award more than anyone. Who do I think it's going to go to? I think the committee is ultimately going to give it to Chase Young as well. I think that they really value a guy that can come in as a rookie, become a team captain and a leader, and, really help this team make a playoff push. So for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think it's going to go to Chase Young. That's my opinion, and I also think that the NFL is going to give it to Chase Young. Now let's talk about Offensive Rookie of the Year. Obviously, you have a ton of talented offensive rookies. Always there's great quarterbacks. This year, Joe Burrow, unfortunately, he got hurt. Justin Herbert played exceptional. Jalen Hurts was very good late in the season. You obviously have running backs. James Robinson comes to mind. And receivers, obviously, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. The list goes on and on. But above all of those, I think the two of the best offensive rookies were offensive linemen. Michael Onwenu for the Patriots was very, very, very good. He's a guard who was thrust into a tackle role due to injuries, and he played very well protecting Cam Newton. But he's not even close to the best. Tristan Wirfs is easily the best rookie in this class. Tristan Wirfs played at an all-pro level as a rookie, protecting the greatest football player ever. He did such a great job. I'm shocked he wasn't on the all-pro first team with the way he played. He was that good. But awards don't go to offensive tackles. They don't even go to offensive guards. They go to quarterbacks. My pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year is Justin Herbert. He put up 4,336 yards, which was roughly 40 shy of the all-time rookie record set by Andrew Luck. He had 31 touchdowns, which broke Baker's record of 28, to 10 interceptions. Justin Herbert was elite for rookies. Justin Herbert was so very good. He managed the game, made big plays when he had to, and his arm strength was on display a lot. He showed very good promise. He was able to calm his nerves in most games. And I think that he definitely deserves this award. I don't want to discredit Justin Jefferson or James Robinson. Those are the other two guys I think are going to see, the majority of the votes. But I think it's got to be Herbert. Yes, Justin Jefferson had 1,400 yards, which I believe was top 5 in the league. But Herbert was outstanding. He broke records, He wasn't even supposed to play until a doctor screwed up Tyrod Taylor's treatment, punctured a lung. And then Herbert played. He was their starter for the rest of the year without question. The Chargers hit at number 6. Justin Herbert is a stud, and I think he's going to have a great NFL career if this rookie season is any indicator. In terms of who I think is going to win the award, ultimately I think it will be Herbert. We all know the NFL leans in the direction of the quarterbacks. Not really surprising. They're a critical piece to any franchise. So I think Herbert is ultimately gonna win the award. Jefferson was incredible. I would not be surprised if this was an extremely close vote. But for me, my vote would be for Herbert, and my pick, if I was betting, would be Herbert. You hear the motto all the time: defense wins championships. And these guys are a big part of it. Defensive Player of the Year is the next award I'm going to be covering. And for me, it comes down to 3 guys. All of them are premier edge rushers. That's the most important point on defense. The most important position. If you can get to the quarterback, you can succeed. Obviously, there are incredible players in the secondary. Jalen Ramsey has maybe the best technique we've ever seen at cornerback. And J.C. Jackson and Xavier Howard had outstanding interception numbers. I believe Howard had 10 and Jackson 9. Maybe even 11 to Howard and 10 to Jackson, I'm not sure. They were all incredible, and I think that some of them will get votes, most likely Howard. But for me, it was really down to Aaron Donald and TJ Watt. These two guys are elite. They are so unbelievably talented at their craft. Quarterbacks are scared when they see these guys coming at them, and I don't blame them. TJ Watt finished the year with 15 sacks, leading the NFL, 26 tackles for loss, and 55 quarterback pressures. That's incredible. Watt was so dominant off the edge of the Steelers' defense. Him and Bud Dupree worked in tandem a lot, but it was always Watt finishing the job and getting to the quarterback. TJ Watt was exceptional. Maybe this season might compare to some of his brother's best, some of his brother's Defensive Player of the Year campaigns. TJ Watt was that good. We're already comparing him to JJ, and he's in maybe his 3rd, 4th year. That's absurd. Aaron Donald finished the year with 13.5 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, and 43 quarterback pressures. Now, these numbers are definitely lower than Watt's. They're lower in every position. So you may be asking, isn't this a shoo-in for Watt? I don't think so. My vote for Defensive Player of the Year would go to Aaron Donald, and let me tell you why. Yes, TJ Watt had better individual statistics in the 3 notable categories that I've covered, but TJ Watt did it as a blitzing 3-4 edge. Aaron Donald was an interior defensive lineman. He played nose tackle. He was being triple teamed lots of plays this season. There was rarely a play he wasn't double teamed. Lots of times saw 3, but always saw 2. And he was still able to put up absurd numbers. From the inside, that's ridiculous. Edge rushers get all of the credit. Donald was once an edge rusher, but the way he works inside, his technique is possibly the best we've ever seen from a guy like him. His position, incredible. He's so unbelievably talented, the best defensive player in the league, maybe the best player in the National Football League. He's that good. My vote would go to Aaron Donald. I think that the NFL will also give this award to Aaron Donald. He's proven time and time again. He is the centerpiece of the Rams franchise. He's the centerpiece of the Rams defense, which really helps win them football games. With Donald rushing the passer and Ramsey in coverage, it is very difficult to score against the Rams. And I think Donald ultimately ends up with this award. We're going to jump the gun a little bit here, and we're going to go straight to talking about the most valuable player in the NFL this year. There's a plethora of candidates. Josh Allen led the Bills to a 13-3 season. Threw for 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns. He was exceptional. Patrick Mahomes, he's a perennial MVP candidate. He's that good. Maybe the most talented quarterback we've ever seen. 4,700 yards and a 38-6 interception ratio. But let's not kid ourselves. The best quarterback this year was Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he might be the most overrated quarterback of all time. In the last 5 years, the most overrated player in sports. Constantly injury prone. Way too conservative with the football. This year was different. The Packers picked Jordan Love in the first round, and that lit a fire under Rodgers' ass. He played so well. Probably the best of his entire career. He had 4,300 yards and a 48-5 touchdown to interception ratio. I could go on about how he's conservative with the ball. So for me, his low interception stat doesn't mean much, but this is ridiculous. He almost had tenfold how many touchdowns he had to interceptions. That really can't be replicated. Call it overprotection if you want, but he was smart with the ball. Adams was pretty much always open. He made Robert Tonyan look like a top 3 tight end in the league. Rodgers was so good, and he's the shoo-in for MVP. Aaron Rodgers is going to win this award. There is no debate about it. I think he realistically might be a unanimous MVP. I think the NFL is going to give Aaron Rodgers this award, and he deserves it. Absolutely. He was the best player this year. Maybe Donald. You could make a case for Allen. He improved the Bills more than Rodgers did with the Packers, sure. But this is Aaron Rodgers' year to win another MVP. For me, Aaron Rodgers doesn't win this award. Will he? Yes. But for me, no. There's a guy that I haven't even mentioned yet. His name is Derrick Henry. The king. Sorry, LeBron, move out of the way. Derrick Henry's the king. He rushed for over 2,000 yards. I think, again, don't quote me on that. That's a ridiculous year. 2,000 yards from scrimmage, just on the ground. 17 touchdowns. That's incredible. Derrick Henry was an absolute force. Not was. Is an absolute force. Defenders are scared to tackle him. He had 3 of the meanest stiff arms I've ever seen in my entire life. Earl Thomas might be able to take a back seat after Norman, the dude for the Lions, and the other one went down. Derrick Henry's just that good. It's very easy to credit his success to the offensive line. Sure, go ahead. But the quarterbacks also need an offensive line, so I don't like that argument that much. Obviously, you have the 5 big guys in the trenches doing the work. But Henry was able to change direction on busted plays, get outside, make guys miss one-on-one. But that's not even the most important part. Derrick Henry was their passing game too. The way that you have to game plan for Derrick Henry allowed the Titans to be so successful in the play-action passing game, which is really where they've thrived with Ryan Tannehill. Derrick Henry makes it possible. Without Henry, the Titans aren't able to run their play action pass offense. He does everything for them. You saw in the playoff game against the Ravens, no Henry means no offense for the Titans. A player that influential in the running game to have 2,000 yards and to I wouldn't say single-handedly because Tannehill's good, Vrabel calls great plays. But for a guy to have that much of an impact in the passing game, not even catching passes like Kamara or McCaffrey, he's just that good. So for me, the most valuable player is Derrick Henry. Say what you want. It's a quarterback's award. I get it. But for me, the MVP is Derrick Henry. Now, I'm just going to go straight into Offensive Player of the Year. I think that these are going to be swapped. For me, I think Rodgers will win it because Derrick Henry's my MVP. What I actually think will happen is Derrick Henry wins Offensive Player of the Year and Rodgers wins MVP. That's just how it works. MVP is a quarterback's award. As much as we don't want to admit it, the MVP is the best quarterback of the year. That's just how it is. So for me, Derrick Henry's the MVP. For the NFL, Derrick Henry's the Offensive Player of the Year. Either one's fine. Obviously, Henry had an incredible year. Rodgers had an incredible year. They both deserve to win MVP, but I don't think you can, right? But anyways, that's going to pretty much do it for this video. Please let me know your thoughts. The Henry take obviously is probably going to be pretty controversial, especially with all the Rodgers stands in the world right now. So leave a comment down below, especially if I missed anything, any players. Hopefully I didn't. But let me know your thoughts on the awards, who you think's going to win it, and don't say Mitchell Trubisky just because he won Nickelodeon Valuable Player. Much deserved, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the honors. Leave a comment down below if you're still watching this video. Thank you for making it this far. I hope you enjoyed. But that's all for now, guys. Should be another video out tomorrow if I get around to recording it. That's all. See you guys later. Peace.